Okay, I can't believe I'm doing this because I am so not a video person or a social media person. And I literally just got off the tennis court and I'm a little schwitzy. So I apologize. It's hot here in Florida playing tennis. But I have like all these emotions in me right now, and I just have to share an experience that I had. Obviously yesterday was a horrible, horrible day for the Jewish people when we saw two beautiful young people gunned down on the streets of DC for no reason other than that, you know, the alleged killer was looking to target Jews. We've seen an incredible rise of anti-Semitism in the United States. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. College campuses are out of control. Jews don't feel safe. Anyone who lives an active Jewish life knows what it's like. At my JCC right now, how to go through security, roll down my windows, check my car, check my badge. This is the life that we live, right? Wanting to just go and hit a couple of tennis balls. So for a long time, I've been posting things on social media, and most of my friends that from like my past college life 20 years ago, who I don't even know if I would call them friends anymore. We haven't kept in touch, maybe acquaintances. See my post, don't say anything about October 7th. And then yesterday of all days, on the days that two Jews were gunned down, I see someone who happens to be a very nice person, very decent human being, as far as I know, 20 years ago, was at my wedding, for example, post something about how Israel is basically in the wrong because withholding food should never be used as an act of, war. Okay. Now, regardless of how you feel right now about the issues with aid getting into Gaza, let's put that aside for a moment. What struck me as so odd is that this individual, after October 7th, said nothing. This is their first post on the topic. And so when I approached them online about it and was like, this is a little weird, they basically said, listen, I didn't want to respond at first because I had to educate myself. And I've been reading and reading and reading, but now I know where I stand and I wish I had spoken up sooner. And so I'm thinking about this and I'm like, okay, October 7th happened. Jews were raped, murdered, burned to death, kidnapped, cut into pieces. And at that time, this arguably very smart individual wasn't really sure what to say about that. They needed more information. Okay. Then children were kidnapped into Gaza and held in tunnels. Said nothing. She was still gathering important information, guys. Then anti-Semitism starts to skyrocket in the United States. College students don't feel comfortable on campus. The rate of aggression towards Jews in New York City, according to the FBI, skyrockets. She's still taking in information, okay? Hamas is indiscriminately bombing Israel. I'm there for one of them. I had to hide behind a building in Tel Aviv because a siren is going off, okay? They're indiscriminately bombing Israel, hoping to hit something. Nothing is said because she's still trying to understand the situation, okay? Hostages start to come back from Gaza, emaciated, looking like Holocaust survivors. Says nothing because we're still gathering information, okay? The B-Bus boys, beautiful, beautiful redhead boys, come back in caskets after being paraded on stage in the most grotesque fashion I have ever seen in my entire life. Nothing is said because we're gathering information still. We don't know who is good and who is bad in this situation. It's complicated, people. Women who were hostages come back. They report the horrible mistreatment that they've endured. Nothing. Nova survivors start to come out and talk about hearing people get raped and shot, right? And this person is the kind of person that would go to like a Coachella, I think, or like a film festival. She's hip, she's cool. Nothing, right? We're still gathering information. I don't know where she's getting the information, but she's gathering information. All this time goes by. All these horrible things are happening to the Jewish people, to Israel, okay? Hamas, on the other hand, is stealing aid this entire time. Israel's pumping aid in, they're stealing it. They're shooting Gazan civilians trying to get aid. She says nothing. Okay. So I've seen a lot of people like this. They just say nothing. And I figure, you know what? They don't want to step in this. They know it's a political landmine and they don't want to get involved. Personally, I would hope that if this was another population, I would have the courage to stand up for what's right. But some people don't want to do that. Fine, I respect you, fine. But yesterday, after 2 kids are young people, I'm old now, so essentially kids in their 20s, are gunned down on the streets of DC for being Jewish, she decides to put up a post saying that Israel is in the wrong for, you know, the aid issues that are going on right now, which are being resolved. Yes, I think food insecurity is a problem, but then say that when the hostages come home emaciated. Say that rape should not also be used as a weapon of war. And so I approached this person, I explained my position. She was very civil and basically just said, listen, we're never going to see eye to eye on this. I totally disagree with you and we're never going to see eye to eye. Okay, I'm not going to convince her. And you know what? That's okay. This is not a person who's an active member of my life. I have a very, very full life. It's good. She's going to do her thing. I'm going to do my thing. You know, respect to her there. But I guess that a lot of the other folks that we were friends with probably feel the same way. I don't know. And it's just really shocking to me because at the end of the day, if you want to criticize Israel, go right ahead. Israelis are the first people to criticize Israel. But when you only criticize Israel for a military or action that they're taking, and you never once say anything about October 7th, you're still reviewing. You never once say anything about the rape victims because you're reviewing. You never once say anything about the Bibas children that were killed because you're reviewing, or the anti-Semitism, and then you choose the day 2 were gunned down to post that. You could convince yourself as much as you want that you're like this pious, righteous, complex, analytic person. But in the reality, most Jews, we just see anti-Semitism. And that doesn't mean you can't criticize Israel. But when you only criticize Israel, when clearly, there's a terrorist organization on the other side, maybe you need to think a little bit more about where your sources are and what you're reading. And I'm not going to engage with this person anymore. It's not worth it. But I would imagine that if I just scratch the surface on the history of the region, she would be spewing some far left progressive bullshit. And so, yeah, I guess this is the world we live in now. But in some ways it's freeing because now everyone shows their true colors, and holding out hope that anyone's going to reach out and say like, hey, I feel for you, you're people. Screw it. I have amazing life, amazing friends, and amazing community. And this just gives me more fuel and more motivation to live the best, richest Jewish life possible. Am Yisrael Chai.